All right, Connor's 72 Super Beetle. It's kind of a long story. I'll keep it as short as I can. Last summer, we drove this car around quite a bit. Went for ice cream, things like that. Had a good time. Everything seemed great. We knew there was some bubbles on both quarter panels on both sides here. So this spring, thinking, we'll do a couple of rust patch panels and be done in a day. Well, we started digging into it, and long story short, we ended up doing one of those huge patch panels, like the 3/4 ones. The entire fender bolting panel, whatever you call that, the entire wheel well, the entire heater channel, and other stuff too. And we've been kind of just Rust-Oleum painting temporarily each panel at a time as we go around and fix things. So because we ended up doing half a floor pan too. So to do all this work, we had to basically gut the whole car. Windows out, interior out, everything. And so we had to do this whole area here with kind of homemade patch panels. Like I said, we did the whole wheel well up into there. Basically, if it's nice, shiny black, we did it. We had to do both sides too. And while we were doing heater channels, we decided to eliminate the heat ducts and just do nice smooth paths because we're not using them anymore. And as we're finishing up the rust repair, we decided, hey, what would be fun is this car has a basically stock 1600, and we thought it would be cool, since the car's gutted and we have a race in 3 days, that let's do a little experiment and race the car with one plastic seat in it and just minimum weight, no interior, no nothing, and just see what it does to kind of show what weight savings alone can do. So we're gonna weigh the car. We got corner scales from a buddy of mine. Just see what we think this car will do with a basically stock 1600. And again, we put just the single poly seat in it. And up here, we ended up getting into the trunk too. And we're rewiring the entire car. This car has always had like bugs and lights, gremlins, and lights blinking out, wipers quit working, blah, blah, blah. So we decided to do an entire wire harness because this car has been hacked and rehacked and patched and repatched, and the wiring was a mess. So for now, we just did the bare wiring just to get the thing running. That's it. No lights, no blinkers, no wipers, just a starter, ignition, and we hooked up a volt gauge and a tack, because racing, you definitely want to have a tack, especially bracket racing. Temporarily, I loaned him my racing battery that's 925 cold cranking amps, but very light. And just a fuel cell quick we did, because we also had to run all new fuel line. And even though this is a stock engine right now, I always like to plan for the future. Someday this car is gonna get a bigger engine, so we decided to run 3/8 fuel line. So that'll feed, whatever, up to 200 horse or whatever someday. And we're going to change the stock gas tank to a late model Super Beetle gas tank, because the fuel injected cars had bigger outlets on the fuel tanks, but that fuel tank had rust and sand and garbage in it. So you don't want to go to a race with junk in your gas tank and plugging up filters all day. So just, again, temporarily, I loaned him this fuel cell, just bolted it down, and we had to adapt from like a -12 to a -6 fuel line hookup. So that rounds out the trunk. And while we were at it, of course, we had to paint everything and do a total restoration. So coming back here, what we're working on is Connor is taking out the stock carburetor, and looks like you got it. I see a gas puddle. We changed our original plan of just weight savings, and we're gonna do just weight savings and bolt-ons. So we've had the header on it, and we're gonna do a pair of cadrons that we have, and I stuck a power pulley on there just for race day. But we're, bumpers off, running boards off. We even took the deck lid off, just fun experiment, see how fast we go. I looked up what this car weighs stock and how fast it goes in the quarter stock. And I'll post those here in a minute. All right, very long story short, we were up till late last night. The cadrons that we put on it, one of them was messed up. The accelerator circuit wasn't working. The car was only running on 2 cylinders, so it was kind of frustrating. I called a friend of mine to see if he had a rebuild kit. He didn't. I called another friend of mine who I knew had a set of cadrons freshly taken off an engine similar to this one. So we stuck those on. It seems to be running okay. I'm gonna take it for a test drive now just to make sure. Tidied up the wires best we could. And I just noticed we forgot to put that screw back in, so we'll do that quick before we go. The throttle cable broke. It was old and rusty and brittle, and it snapped off right here. So I thought, oh, no problem, I got a brand new throttle cable. Well, this one's too long. It must be for the wrong year car. So I hate clamping directly onto the cable, but that's what we had to do for now. So we'll do a little test run. Okay, test drive was successful for drag racing. We need to do some tuning. The tip in and the transitioning from on the gas to off is a little burbly, but the full throttle, it runs okay, doesn't idle good. So, like I said, tuning needed, but good enough for the race that we're leaving for in less than 24 hours. So we're gonna move on to something else. Even leaving the driveway just now a little bit, I felt it wheel hop a little, and I wasn't even giving it like full throttle. So we definitely got to do a traction bar of some kind on this before we race it. Even with a stock engine, wheel hop can do damage to things, and I have no idea what transmission is even in this car, so we don't want to be blowing up the first gears or anything. All right, since this whole thing is to see what we can do with weight savings, we're actually going to scale the car. All right, we got the 4 corners set up. I'm pretty sure I did it right. I'll have to read the directions, but I think you multiply that by either 2 or 4. But we should be able to figure that out with common sense. Yep, the front's lighter than the back, shocker. Looks pretty fairly even side to side. The right rear looks heavy. All right, we're gonna do some mathing. So here's what we got. These are the raw numbers, and I found out you multiply by 4. So 1512 is what this car weighs as it sits. The stock factory weight was 1918. So that means we saved over 400 pounds off of this car. Uncut, the way it sits. No cage, obviously. So I've always heard the general rule is for every 100 pounds you take off a car, that's a 1/10 in the quarter. So a stock 72 Super in the quarter, according to the Googleizer, goes 1859 at 70.3 miles an hour, barely breaking the speed limit. So my thinking is that minus my 4/10 for my weight savings, and we did a power pulley and the cadrons. And I don't know, I'm kind of guessing just the weight savings alone, that gets you down to like 18.1, 18.2. So I'm guessing like 17.7 is what we're gonna run. It's just a guess, I have no idea. I kind of feel like the cadrons and the power pulley are gonna make a bigger difference than the weight savings actually. So I don't know, maybe it'll be a high 16 or so, we'll see. All right, bad news, our very cool street tube exhaust, when we went to put our traction bar on, the bar, we're doing a Berg style, and the bar goes up and hits the bottom of the engine here, and then comes out to two hangers up here with like all thread or something. Problem is this exhaust, you know, zigzags in this area here, and it makes it so that it interferes with that bar. So we're trying to figure out a way to make a wavy bar or go around the exhaust in some way, but we decided that maybe the faster way to go is to switch the exhaust. So that's what we took off. That's one that I had on my drag car. We're gonna see if it bolts up now. If it does, we're gonna leave it on and continue with the straight bar. Otherwise, we gotta do a lot of fabricating that we don't have time for. Well, where are we? 7:30 at night, and we gotta be on the road tomorrow. All right, we got our temporary muffler on, and we got our traction bar built. Yeah, we kind of, as I said, we kind of copied the Berg design. Bracket up there, all thread. Rubber bumper up there, so it's not metal on metal. And I put a bracket there to stop it from popping off or moving away. So I think we're ready to get this thing off the jack stands and load it up. Loaded up, ready to go. Haven't washed this car in probably a couple of years, I hate to say. Dual carbs always look cooler. All right, let's go. I'm going up for my first time trial. No idea what we're gonna run. No idea how to cut a light with this car. But we're gonna see what happens. No burnout, no water box. only like 2:07, terrible. I'm going up for time trial number 2. I'm really worried the clutch isn't going to survive the day, but I'm going to try to leave softer this time. I left really aggressively before for this car, so I'm going to try to leave it like 2,000 or idle, and then roll into it instead of just blasting it off the line. I thought I was spinning tires in first, but it was just the clutch. So we'll see what happens. Bogged off the line a little, but I'd rather that than slip the clutch. Let's see what we did. I think that's the key. I left it like, I don't even know, like 1,800 RPM or something. I was a little afraid I was going to stall it. And I was more aggressive on the tree too. I got a 0.2 light last time. Let's see if we can get better than that. Oh, 6 light. That's good. Well, not great. 17.3. So it slowed down a tenth and a half. But it's a bracket race. We got our hero pass the first time, so let's see what happens now. All right, I never do a third time trial, but I feel like we're here, let's have some fun. The biggest thing I'm gonna try this time is I've been winding it out. I'm used to a 7,000 RPM car. I've been winding it out to like 5 or more. I'm gonna try shifting to 4,500. That kind of experience tells me that's kind of where these stock engines run out of steam, so shift quicker this time. That's what practice is for. Yep. 0.01 red. So I gotta slow it down. It's close. So 17.5 is 0.2 slower than before. So that tells me to wind it out more. My first 2 runs I wound it out to like 5 or 5,500. That time I definitely didn't let it go over 45. It did not like that. So back to 5,000. Looks like I got Karen Matheson first round. Try to avoid our buddies until as late as possible, but I think it was unavoidable.
Once again, we need to get in the streets of lane 3 and 4.
definitely different than my Super Pro car. I dialed 1730, 0.166 light, not good. Worse than her light. I thought for sure that I screwed up big time. And it looks like I lucked out big time. I did screw up. I ran 17.6 at 62 miles an hour, which means I let off before the finish line. I feel like an idiot, but I got the win. But I'm not proud of it. Round two. If I won. Thank you. Reaction time was terrible, that's why. All right, on to round three. I'm not sure, but I think this is semifinals. Here we go.
And at this time, your attention to the pits, or attention to the pits. Racers, listen up. We need VW Pro to 1 and 2, VW Super to 3 and 4, VW Brackets to 5 and 6. Once again, we need VW.
Thank you. Nope, lost. Broke out too fast. Man, it didn't feel that fast. All right, we're going home. It's okay. Car ran better than I expected. We made it to semis. Life is good. All right, we're back from race day. Day after, actually 2 days after. So here's the facts. The whole point of this video was, what do you save by saving weight, and what do you save with bolt-ons? And I don't really have countless trips to the track, so I just did both at the same time. So this is the weight of it as it sits, which added up is 1512. Now after we did this, we changed the exhaust to a different style exhaust. We weighed the difference, 13 pounds. So that means the car was $14.99 with a full tank of gas as we went to the track. So stock weight, 1918, minus that, 419 pounds we saved. So that's quite a bit. Now, a stock 72 Super Beetle in the quarter mile runs 1859 at 70. We ran 1712. Got it right here. It's kind of funny. 1712 has been my race number, my car number, for decades, and that's exactly what I ran. So 1712 at 73.8. So that is 1.469 seconds faster than stock. That's a lot, and 3.5 more miles per hour. So is it worth saving weight? Yeah, but here's the thing. The car is gutted right now, absolutely gutted. I wouldn't want to drive it around the street like that. So the bolt-ons, as I said before, I think made a bigger difference. Actually, I mentioned earlier that the generally accepted rule is for every 100 pounds of weight you save, you take off a tenth of a second. So by that math, we only took off 4/10 by saving weight. So very rough numbers, that tells me that putting the bolt-ons, the cadrons, the power pulley, the light flywheel, stuff like that, took a second off the car, off the time, excuse me. So yeah, those numbers tell me you're better off taking your full weight bug and putting cadrons on it and a header and stuff like that than to gut the thing. So fun experiment, but that's the answer. It's always better to add power than to take off weight. Now there is another factor that I like to talk about because my drag car is very light too. When you take 400 pounds off a car, not only do you go faster, but the car is more reliable. You don't break axles and differentials and stuff like that as often. And you know, it brakes better, steers better, does everything better. Taking weight off is good, but you don't want to make the car like a lightweight leaf that'll just snap into pieces in any accident. So same goes with my drag car here. This car weighs, last time I checked, like 1409 or something like that. So pretty light, but not that light. There's a lot of tubing in this car that puts a lot of weight back into it. But yeah, if it wasn't for the roll cage in this car, this would be a 1,100 pound car. But like I said, I added the whole jungle gym to this car. But again, going back to the weight savings, this car is nothing special. I don't have high-end axles or anything, but I've had very good success. It's been very reliable. I've only broken axles once in like 30 years. So I still like the whole weight savings thing, but for a street car, my vote is stick with the add-in power. And heavier cars seem to run down the highway better too. They don't get blown around by the wind and stuff like that as much. So there we go. That's our experiment. It was fun.